Just to start off, what can delegates expect that is from tomorrow's leadership empowerment session?
Okay, so tomorrow it's an awakening. The theme is navigating the transition seasons before the intelligent future. So we're talking about being awakened to know the difference between what is happening now and the enormity of what is coming. So like IOTA Leadership Dealership, our motto is not just in the lead, but leaders. So I paint a picture and I say, if something happens here right now, and all of us have to rush out for our lives, the person that rushes out first and is in the lead, is that person the leader of the group inside? No. So you can be in the lead and not be a leader. Yeah. So if we are all here and something happens, most likely the leader would rather be the one who would stand at the door and be pointing to all the others, go this way, go this way, go this way. So being in the lead is not actually being a leader. So technicality does not always translate into actual leadership. So we are raising a people, number one, to realize that the ideological differences in describing leadership can actually be worlds apart in practice. So now we are reframing the mindset of leaders to make them realize that it's not just about having exceptional qualities or even being in the lead or becoming the top of the environment, but actually you raising agents and agencies intelligently of productivity. That's what actual leadership is. So primarily this is what we're setting people up for tomorrow.
Indeed, that sounds very exciting already. Now the theme speaks about moving beyond individual excellence.
Yes.
What does this look like in practice?
So I will come again. Number one, if you help another set up, then you can escape being upset. If you are the only knowledgeable person in a room, your knowledge moves from becoming a tool to becoming a burden, because everything you communicate, somebody doesn't understand. And everything you initiate faces resistance. So now leadership in practice is actually generating intelligent systems that everything around you can relate to and respond productively to. So then we are looking at, if I am blessed to have the knowledge to be musical, then now what will be the best way that I can raise my environment to appreciate musicality? Otherwise, being musical becomes tedious, it becomes boring, then it becomes a burden. So if you look in our society now, there are ultra-rich individuals in ultra-poor neighborhoods. There are ultra-knowledgeable individuals in expensively naive societies. So then we are looking at, if you truly are knowledgeable or you are skilled, then it must translate into the system that you're practically putting around you. And this is where policy leaders, policy makers come in. There has to be the construct ideologically, then the construct legally, and then backed with power, so that whatever is intelligent doesn't stay in a vacuum, but finds a thriving society to belong into. So in practice, we're looking at understanding it well, generating infrastructure, then policy making, then backing it with legality so it can become accessible to the everyday person.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Joseph, why is it important right now for Namibian leaders in business, church, and community, that is to focus on developing others?
Right. I always speak of two things. What is convenient? What is expedient? What is convenient is the now. What is expedient cannot be denied and it cannot be stopped. Nobody was able to stop the transition from writing letters to email. Nobody could stop it. Nobody could stop the transition from using normal currency to cashless society. Nobody could stop it. Once it is expedient, it's coming. You can't do anything about it. So exactly, nobody will be able to stop or has been able to stop the advent of artificial intelligence. So it tells us that there is a future that's curated, at least ideologically, and it's in practice in part. It's coming. The work we have to do, churches, leaders, teachers, educationists, all industry leads, is that, are we going to wait for the future to come and overwhelm us? or we are going to curate the extent to which the future will affect us. So then it's one thing holding a part of what is at stake. It's another thing being a stakeholder in what is coming. The educationists tell us that our children are using smart devices to learn, but they are not smarter than the previous generation. A child is watching cartoons for long. The child can sit 2 hours in watching cartoon characters talk, but the child is not talking. So they come to tell us they are watching cartoon characters talk, but they are not talking early. Why? Because we didn't curate the future to come and meet us well. We waited until it came overwhelmingly. That's why I said there is an intelligent future coming. And the intelligence in the future is frightening. Even the experts are telling us they can predict to a point what the machines could do, but there is the tendency for the machines to outwit them. So there is something to prepare for. So church leaders, government officials, policy makers, are we going to wait for smart devices to come and determine what the quality of life will be? Or we're going to have a stakehold in the future that is coming. So it's an awakening for industry leads and the policy constructors to be able to assess to what extent are we going to allow the intelligent future to have an effect on humanity, job placement, career development, and behavioral, tendencies in total. Because now, it's a funny example, but data shows that men or human beings are now going in for digital spouses. You see, somebody wants to date a machine more than an actual lady because he claims the machine will be programmed to relate with him exactly as he wants. But the lady may behave otherwise that will offend him, but a machine will be programmed not to offend him. So the behavioral scientists, are they prepared to help us adapt to the future that is coming? So if you think about it this way, then you realize it is not just okay, it's critical for church leaders and all forms of leaders, government officials, to get involved with the enormity of what is coming so that policy-wise we can construct the extent to which it's going to be a blessing to us.
Right. So, Mr. Joseph, just to get to the responsible leadership, what does that mean to you?
So again, like I said, responsible leadership is actually doing. Neuroscience tells us that the feeling you have when you learn about something can be equal to the feeling you have when you actually do the thing. So you can read 400 books about opening a business and not actually open a business. And then you can just open a business. Now, neuroscientifically, the chemicals that are released in your brain for you to feel good about being able to read books about doing business is the same chemicals that come when you actually do the business. So a lot of people are living in a fantasy of achievement. It's not real, but they are feeling it to be real. There are many leaders carrying big titles and that they are leading, but when you look at their impact and the track record, it doesn't speak to what they claim they are leading. So then what comes in now is the actual doing. Responsible leadership is not the fantasial feeling of success. It is actual evidence, legacy-oriented success. So I say let the impact do the talking and not the elaborate vocabulary. So
what are some of the leadership gaps that you see today in Namibia?
So for me, gaps will be a strong one because the little I have seen is that they are very open and very accepting in their orientation. So rather than saying a gap, I will choose my words correctly and say there's something they must be a bit more proactive towards, and that is the extent to which or the speed at which they are turning things into policy. Tomorrow we'll be talking about the AI Governance Index. So the index is the list of all countries and the laws and the policies and the developmental thinking that has gone into AI and how the nations are going to, fare with them. And when you look at the data comparatively, you would realize that there will be a little more Namibia has to do. No nation is perfect, including my home nation. And some of us are not the arbiters of artificial intelligence, but we are concerned, sincere observers.
Indeed.
And I believe that Namibia will have to step up the speed in assessing future and then putting in policy, or at least now generating the considerable dialogue that will bring the pointers that must serve as the guardrails of the policy for the intelligent future.
Okay.
Yes.
So many people are excellent individuals but struggle to develop in teams. Now, what practical steps can someone take to start developing others?
The first thing I always tell people is scaling up. So, for instance, if I ask you to pick your iPad, you will not think of teamwork. If I ask you to pick up your chair, you will not think of teamwork. But if I point you to a 200-kilogram object now and I ask you to pick it up, the first thing that will come to you is, who is around to help me? So then that's what brings leadership, to be able to affect people around. If you think small, you will not think team. But once you scale up, so I tell people, whatever you are doing successfully, if you really want to be a team worker, scale up. So proportions have a way of bringing instruction. If I am just feeding 2 people in the family, I can be okay with nobody else supporting the family, and I can be the sole breadwinner. But if I am told to give a scholarship to 100 people from the basic education to master's degree, immediately I'm going to want somebody else in the family to bring on help. So I've told people proportion in itself is a level of activated instruction already. Scale up. When you think small, you are tempted to think selfishly. If you think big, you will need another man to excel. It's like a tug of war. If you're pulling and the weight is strong on the other side, you would definitely want somebody who has been, trained to also join you. So the first thing is scaling up. That's the first thing, scaling up. The next thing is continuity, longevity. To be able to have a legacy, then it means something must outlive you. That's the thing. And the greatest way in which something outlives you is to bring another version of you in another man. So that's how come culture has survived. Our forefathers are not alive, but we are alive. And when they brought the versions of them through us, culture lives on.
Yeah. So how can organizations strengthen their systems so they don't collapse when leaders leave?
Exactly. Now, the thing that we want people to understand is, when you teach, people follow. When you give opportunity, people stay. Now, in order for us to be able to raise organizations and things that outlive us, we must give opportunity to the young generation. I am not saying it is not done, but I think it must be ingrained constructively. If you just parent your child and you don't give opportunity for the child to take decisions, make decisions, repair decisions, handle, things, damage control, where are you expecting the maturity to come from? And it is only when they are mature that they can continue in the practice of what was done. So I say, create opportunities. Don't just be in the lead, colorfully detached from the everyday masses. Let there be considerable platforms. Let people have literal practitioner, practicing opportunities. Set up businesses. Appoint young executive officers. Delegate. Make people have a platform to exhibit their talent and bring in constructive criticism. Let them be builders of something literal and not just have, a notion that is elaborate in their head. So I always like to say it in a very simple way. Don't let leadership be a course you are studying. Let it be a course you are executing. And then it's a blessing.
Indeed. As you round off, I mean, it's a mouthful. I'm sure it's going to be a productive one.
Yes.
What role does mentorship and successful planning play in the kind of leadership your organization is promoting?
Yeah, I always say, if there's no mentor, there will certainly be a tormentor. You know, it's one thing to be yourself. It is another thing to be the best version of yourself. The best version of yourself needs another criticism from another place other than yourself. Otherwise, you will stay in your comfort zone. So we've always told people, instruction is the best way of refining. Correction is what helps anything that is not perfect to approach perfection. So we've always told people, mentorship is like the lifeline of success and perfection. So we connect them to constructive means of choosing. You know, a lot of the times you can admire what you ought not to become. If I'm blessed to be a sports person and you are blessed to be a journalist, you can exhibit some qualities that excite me. That doesn't mean I have to abandon what I'm blessed to be and follow you. So the first thing we do with mentorship is to make it ingrained that it is expedient. The next thing is the little guardrails that show how you can successfully choose a mentor, not just admiration in a vacuum. So mentorship is like the spice towards perfection, and we emphasize on that. Tomorrow we're going to go into the details, but what to be expected is how you can constructively identify and relate with one.
We unfortunately ran out of time, but just shortly, where can people register if they want to take part in this leadership program? So
it's tomorrow, the 15th, at the Fürstenhof Protea Hotel. And I believe it's a very central one, so everybody knows it. And then it's going to be at 10 a.m. It's going to be a powerful session. The first session is the anatomy of impactful leadership. Then the next session is the technical one, where we go into AI and the future, and then how to navigate the seasons between now and when the full-blown civilization of intelligence takes over. So it's going to be a very powerful one. And there's going to be a practical session as well. I'm into music as well, so I actually have a song that AI has produced, and we're going to play it, walk them through the process, and let people appreciate the practicality of being in the lead and leading people to come on board as well. So it's going to be a blessed one. Tomorrow the 15th, and it's going to be at Fürstenhof Protea Hotel, 10 a.m., and you'll find us there.
And all people are welcome.
All people are welcome. It's completely free.